You ever have one of those moments where life just flips the script on you and you just don't care? Yeah, that was me when I got fired. Let me tell you, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. In November of 2023, I went to work this one particular day, and it was on a Tuesday. Matter of fact, it was November the 7th, 2023. And I went into work and I noticed that there were a lot more supervisors there than usual. And I worked in this area where it was really small. So, really, only two people could work in that area at a time. And I noticed that it was like four people in there. And then when I got there, that made it five. So, when I walked in, I clocked in and I'm smiling. I'm looking at them and I looked at the supervisor, but they seemed a little nervous. So I clocked in, put my stuff down, and I was like, what's going on here? I said, oh, somebody go down. Something about to go down. So before I know it, one of my supervisors, they called me. They said, Tasha, come on in the office with me. I was like, okay. So I walked in the office with them. And I noticed that they were walking slower than I was walking. I was walking actually faster than they were walking to this office. Now, I knew what was getting ready to happen. I already knew it. And this is the first thing that I said when we got into the office. What took y'all so long? I emailed y'all on yesterday, which was on a Monday. I said, and y'all just not getting here and responding to me? So they went through the protocol of what they needed to talk to me about. And so she was mild mannered and she was scared to tell me that they were getting ready to let me go because of my. And honestly, let me just tell you, I still don't know to this day why they fired me. Have no clue. I'm assuming that it was for not doing my job, as they would put it. Now, in the email that I sent them, which was a resignation letter that I sent the day before, telling them that thank you for the opportunity. You know how the normal resignation letter goes. So I was like, thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate you all for a chance to work here and to be a part of your team. I feel that this position is not for me anymore, and I decided to move on. That was really the gist of the letter. So I sent that letter the day before. They come the next day. They never responded to my email. They never called to the office, which I was hoping that they were going to call me that day, but they never did. Nothing. So when they actually came the day to fire me, I was happy. That's why I responded to them the way I responded to them. And then the supervisor that I had, she was a new supervisor because the one that I had prior to her had quit, left, like gone, left. She ghosted everybody. And so the person that was there in her place, she bought a new supervisor that just came on to the team with her to do this with her, I guess, or to see how it worked since he was coming on as a new supervisor. So we're in the office and we're talking, and I just was expressing my concerns to them, and I was just letting her know that the reason why I sent my resignation letter is because I felt like that y'all wanted me to do a job that I was not properly trained on. Yes, I was trained. However, you wanted me to add on more responsibility. You wanted to add on more responsibilities to my job already that I did not know how to do. And then the director over the entire department told me on the phone when she called me, she said that we don't give training for this, what y'all have to do. And it was a particular system that was an old system, and we had to follow instructions on this piece of paper. So how she expect for me to do the job correctly and not be trained on it and using a system that I never used before? And then they told me that I had to use this system at least 6 times per day. Y'all, come on, really? Is that how you're gonna do me? Is that how you're gonna do all of us? And then on top of that, I guess I wasn't collecting, money like I was supposed to be collecting, or I wasn't meeting my goal, I should say. Now you can ask the people, do they have money, for their bill or what have you? But then a lot of people just don't have the money. They don't have it. So after I got fired, I left, got my stuff, clocked out. Y'all, I was so happy. I was so happy because prior to that, I was just really wanting to not be in that job anymore. And this is why I was happy that I got fired. This is why I'm going to tell you right now that I was happy that I got fired because I knew that I was working a job that I was not supposed to be at. I was doing something that I was not supposed to be doing. I was only doing that job because of the bills that kept coming in, and I needed to work. I needed to work. I needed to pay bills. And because of my husband needing help to pay these bills, we'll talk about that later. That's a whole nother story. I just needed to work so we could stay afloat. Now, my husband was a good provider, excellent provider. But hey, sometimes when you're married, in marriages, you go through things and you have to help one another get through the hard times, the ups and the downs. And that's really why I work. That's really why I inquired about the job. Now the job was great. It was rewarding at times. A lot of times it was very, very hectic. And I was just bored now at this point. And another reason why I'm glad that I got fired is because I knew that it was time for me to just stop playing around, stop pushing off my purpose, stop working a job and helping somebody else build their dream when my dream was put on hold. My dream was on the back burner because I'm at somebody else's job clocking in, doing what they want me to do. And that's not what I needed to do. I needed to do what was put on the inside of me. And that is to speak life and encourage people and inspire people to discover their purpose. But at the time, I did not know that. But I knew I was supposed to be a public speaker. I knew that. I've been knowing that ever since I was in my early 20s. And for me to be stuck at a job behind a desk, working on a computer every day, and I was working 12-hour shifts, 4 days a week, off 3 days. And that was just, it was getting tiresome. And then I also felt like that when I get to a certain point in a job, 6 months or 8 months or 9 months, then I start getting bored and I'll just start, start coming to work late. I don't want to wake up in the morning to get dressed and go to work. And then when I get there, I'm half doing the job. So it was a cycle that continuously happened throughout my young adult years up until my 30s. And now I am in my 40s. So when that happened 2 years ago, I realized that if I don't do this now, if I don't take a step of faith, if I don't step out on faith to walk in my purpose, to become this public speaker, whether it be in church or out of church, that's a whole nother story I need to tell you about as well. And if I don't do this, if I don't start implementing the things that I've already learned and start operating in my gifts and my callings that God had already placed on the inside of me, then I will always continue to get a job, work, be excited about it, go through the training, work for 6 months to 9 months. Then after the 6 months or the 9 months pass, and I get bored again, and then I decide I wanted to quit. I've never been fired before on a job, ever, ever, ever. Never been fired. So that was my first time ever been fired for all of the years that I have worked, and I've been working since the age of 14. Not straight, of course. Went through a lot of trials and tribulations, ups and downs, being consistent and inconsistent, and just off and on. But this job actually pushed me to do what was in my heart to do, which is public speaking, knowing that I have a gift on the inside of me and to operate in my gift and to have my own business, to operate my own business and do it full time. So it is 2025, February 2025, and I have been operating in my gift for a full year. My purpose really started becoming more clearer last year in July of 2024. I registered for a domestic violence class, a training, and I received a certificate to learn how to tell my story and share my story. So now I am a DV speaker. I don't just speak in churches, but I speak in high schools and middle schools, nonprofit organizations. And I talk to teens, 8th graders, 9th graders, 10th graders, 11th grade, 12th grade, and even college level. And I teach them the warning signs of domestic abuse. And I didn't know that that was going to come about because in 2008, that was my first marriage. I went through domestic violence. I was married to him for 10 years, well, 11 years until we got divorced, but I went through domestic violence for 10 years. So me taking that course, I don't think I would have ever took that course or even be doing what I'm doing if I was still stuck on that job. So me getting fired was the best thing that ever happened to me. And no, I did not care. And yes, they seen the facial expression of I don't care. Especially when I told them, when I seen them, when they called me to the office, what took y'all so long? Y'all should have responded to my email when I sent it yesterday. Yeah, I was that bold. I did do that. So if you are working a job, you're still there, you've been there for years, you might have just started working there and you know you shouldn't took that job, but you took it because of fear, because you are afraid of operating in your gift, because you worried about bills, you worried about not having money, you worried about the ups and downs, you worried about the unknown, you're fearful of this, you're fearful of that. If you continue to stay in that job, getting behind that desk or going to that cash register, clocking in every day, or going on the sales floor, working at a TJ Maxx or Marshalls or Harris Teeter or Food Line, or you working for a corporate, a corporation or what have you, whatever you're doing, if you know in your heart that you're not supposed to be doing that, then I suggest that you make a decision today to leave or at least get fired. Because if you don't, then you'll probably be there, and you'll be there and probably until you leave this earth. Today, I seen a video of Miles Monroe talked about how when he was a little boy and how he asked God, why am I poor? Why is my family poor? And he said he read the Bible And he said, God told him in a simple answer, he said, "Is your mind." He said, ever since then, he read the Bible in its entirety and he committed his life to the Lord that night. And he said he wrote down everything that he wanted to do and be, and he done all of those things. And he said he discovered another thing too, that the wealthiest place or the worst thing that could happen to anybody is not dying. He said that the worst thing that can happen to everybody or anybody is having a life with no purpose. And he said the wealthiest place on earth is not a diamond mine, it's not the gold mine, it's not the oil fields, it's not none of those places. The wealthiest place on earth is the graveyard. The graveyard is the wealthiest place because there are books, and he said this. I looked at his video twice a day. He said that there are books in those graveyards that have not been written. There's businesses in those graveyards that have not started. There are actresses and actors in those graveyards that did not take a leap and went out there by faith and started their career as an actor. There are paintings that have never been painted. There are songs that would never be sung. There are songs that would never be written because those people died with their purpose on the inside of them, and it will never happen because they're in the grave. So if that's you, and you get a sick feeling in your stomach every day waking up, even though you know you don't want to go to this job, but you feel like you have to go there because you have to pay your bills, and you're concerned about how you're going to do this, how you're going to do that, how this going to be provided, how this, because maybe you're a single mom, or maybe you're a single dad, or maybe you are a divorcee, or maybe you are a woman that has endured domestic violence like I have, and you made it out of it and you survived, and you're wondering, well, what's next? Then your next will be praying to God and asking him what you should do next and now and today. This is why I wanted to share with y'all this. Getting fired was the best thing that has ever happened to me, because I knew if I got a job that if I went back, because I've been doing this full time for the last year, operating in my gifts, speaking, but it's really gotten intense since 2024 up until now. Speaking, sharing my story about me being a domestic violence survivor, not once, but twice. And I'm sharing my story. Wherever I can, I'm sharing my story, because that's the gift that God put on the inside of me. Don't let your gift die on the inside of you and you take it to your grave, because then nobody will ever get to experience you. Ever. Well, that's my share for today. Until next time, think about what I said, because you have a decision you need to make.